Hey everyone, welcome back to NFT PFPs by Avaissance. This is Mint Operations, part 4 of 5.
So what are mint operations? These are generally defined as the operations or activities that you'll do leading up to and around mint day. And of course, on the actual day of. You and your team will spend weeks, most likely months, leading up to this day, and you want to make sure you're doing everything possible leading up to it and on the day of to ensure a successful mint day and ensure that everything goes smoothly. So a big part of this is really setting the details of your mint day. When exactly are you going to mint? What is the supply? What is the mint price? One of the most important things you can do when setting these numbers or dates is to go and actually study the market comparables. There are only so many products on any given blockchain minting at any given time. So you can actually learn a lot by studying each of these projects that have minted in, say, the last 6 months or so prior to whenever your target mint date is. It's important to look at what other projects have done in terms of mint, which is largely around mint price and mint supply, and what they were able to achieve using what level of marketing. You want to look at these projects and take a hard, honest look at your own marketing efforts and at your project, and really ask yourself, where does my project stack up against theirs? If you believe yours to be on a higher level than what has come before you, then you could potentially conceive that you may be able to pull off a higher supply or higher mint price. If, on the other hand, you take a hard, honest look and you feel your project's marketing efforts to date and quality and community are somewhere in line with some of the other top projects that have come before you, then you may also expect results that are more in line with what they were able to achieve, rather than hope to do something drastically different, which can be a risky proposition if that's where your project comes back. The one confounding variable here is, of course, market conditions. Markets can change on a dime in this space, and what minted 6 months ago may be an entirely different market from what you're looking at today. So if market conditions are weaker today, you want to level set your expectations accordingly. And if markets are stronger today, then you may even be a little more aggressive or expect to achieve a little more compared to other projects that have come before you. So this here is an example of 6 projects which at the time, 5 of which had minted and 1 had not on the AVAX blockchain or in that ecosystem. So you can see here the mint price of each project and the supply of each project. But of course, every scenario is not different. Some of these projects had predecessor projects that already had a built-in holder base, some of whom received discounts. Others actually didn't even mint out at all, or are still ongoing mints. And this is always really helpful information as well, because if a project fails to mint a certain supply at a certain price, then you want to take that as a warning that, for whatever marketing efforts they put in, the market conditions and ecosystem at the time was not receptive to that and could not support a supply at that mint price. If your project is similar or if it's different, you'll want to inform your decisions accordingly. But this is one of the most important things you can do as a founder, is to study market comparables and what else has come before you in that particular space. So in deciding a supply and mint price, you kind of want to look at engagement. So how large should your collection be? What should you price your mint at? When should you mint? These are all great questions to ask and very difficult questions to answer. These are key questions that will make or break your mint, regardless of the quality of your art, product, or community. No matter how good your product is, if you minted at something that's egregiously expensive for an extremely large supply, the demand is just not there to support your project. So being overconfident or over allocating too much supply or shooting for too high of a price can kill your project and chances of minting out, no matter how good your product is. So everything is relative, and it's important to know what price and what supply you think your particular project at that point in time can command. So this is going to depend on market conditions, liquidity, other projects minting around the same time. How big of a community do you want, as supply will directly inform this? How big of a community can you actually build and support, and so on? So, one very extreme example is if you have a Discord and you only have 2,000 members, you probably should not have a mint supply of 10,000, for example. If anything, those numbers should be reversed, where your mint supply is some fraction of total Discord members, as not everyone will mint. So this is typically a decent proxy of what your ceiling potential supply can be. So whitelist allocation is another way you can kind of back into supply, or vice versa. Once you've decided on a supply, you can decide how much of the whitelist you want to give out or how much of the supply you want to allocate to this. Having a whitelist usually comes with some kind of economic incentive. This can either be a discounted mint price, a entirely free mint, an earlier window where you don't have to compete with the public first come, first serve crowd. So there's usually some kind of incentive tied to it. And what that means is people will seek out that incentive. So they'll be more willing to join as your early community member, join as an early supporter or holder, or engage with your project where they otherwise may not have, because there is this incentive built in with the understanding that holding a whitelist means typically one of those things mentioned earlier. And so how you allocate whitelists can actually be a good way to grow your project early on, since you have this built-in incentive and people wanting to support and engage with your project. So you can handpick them based on Discord or Twitter interactions. You can do some kind of a giveaway or raffle. You can do an application system. Others have held art contests. This is a great way to have the community start creating art in around your project, and it becomes marketing collateral you can use as well. So there's a lot of ways to hand this out, but really the number comes down to how many of your minters do you want to be incentivized minters, and how many of your minters do you want to be more long-term community members. The first group can certainly turn into the second group, but when there is this incentive involved, you will always have some population of the community that are just exclusively here to seek out projects they can get whitelisted to, cash in that incentive, and potentially sell your NFT immediately. So this is not something you can avoid, and is something that can still be good for your projects, because you need these people around to help you achieve the volume that you can achieve. They provide helpful liquidity and so on. And so these people can be good for your project, so you don't seek to avoid it entirely. But if you want to build a long-term community, you may want to take actions to minimize it, or put a little more thought into having a more selective picking system for who gets the whitelist. And of course, not everyone with whitelist will mint. So if you see here, you have 1,000 supply, 100 may go to your Genesis collection holders, 150 to whitelist, which means you have to sell at least 750 in the public first come, first serve sale or mint to successfully sell out 1,000. Going off these numbers, not 150 people with whitelist will actually mint. So you should plan to be able to sell a little over 750, depending on how many are still left at that stage. And so there's the private versus public sale game theory. This is a little bit of what you want to think about in terms of what goes first on the actual mint day. Most projects will do a private sale for whitelist holders. Again, this is a potentially discounted, not first come first serve sale phase where there is not an over allocation. So you can take your time. You don't have to fight gas wars with other people to win the ability to mint this project. So this is why they call it a private sale. It's not over allocated, and typically anyone with whitelist or some other kind of preferential mint day treatment will mint during this phase. So you can look at this allocation. It's the same one we shared on the other slide. But if you have 150 allocated to whitelist and only 100 mint, and then only 90 of your Genesis collection or precursor collection holders mint, you actually need to sell 810 during the public first come, first serve sale. In example 2, maybe this mint day goes a little more poorly and your whitelist / Genesis holders barely mint, only 50 of each mint. This will leave 900 you have to sell during the public first come, first serve phase. So these are obviously two very different scenarios. Selling 900 is a lot more than selling 750 of something, for example. Now you can kind of see the risk here taken is if you go with the private sale first, and you happen to be in the example 2 bucket, those waiting on the public sale may see the lack of traction that your private sale had and ask themselves, well, if only half or less than half of their earliest, most long-term supporters actually minted their Genesis or whitelist allocation, then that doesn't give me very much confidence. Now, why should I mint during the public first come, first serve phase? So if you do follow this typical approach, you just want to make sure that as many of your early whitelist holders and supporters mint as possible. So you can do this by reminding people constantly that when the mint is, so people don't forget. You can do a final opt-in wallet submission, which is basically a form submission and it can be used as a good tool to get more high confidence number in how many of your whitelist holders will mint. Because again, many people may have forgotten about your project, they may have lost faith in the project, or they may have simply not have the funds left anymore to mint the project, since they first received it. So doing a final opt-in can give you a better idea of how many of your whitelist holders will actually mint. But regardless of all that said, if you want to do this first, you need to have a high confidence that your early whitelist holders and supporters will actually mint, so that can roll into as small of an allocation as possible during the public, so you don't have to worry about having the demand or the volume to sell out, and also to inspire confidence in those minting at a later time, that they should also in turn give it a shot and mint in the public phase. So with all that, we'll wrap up part 4 of this video series, and we'll see you guys all here for the next part.